Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Health Coach for Women, a podcast where we explore alternative solutions to better health and wellness. And I am your host, Marsha. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, first, I'd like to apologize for not releasing my podcast episode on its normal date and time, which is Wednesdays at 11. Sometimes there's some hiccups along the way. So just a brief story of what happened is that I had my phone misplaced or stolen, right? I believe it was stolen, but I'm just going to say misplaced. And I wanted to wait because everything is on our phones, right? Everything is on our phones. So everything is basically on there. And to make a long story short, I end up holding off for a minute just to see if I can locate my phone before I went and did a replacement. And trying to ping my phone and find it, I wasn't able to because with my Google account, all the codes, authentication, two-factor authentication was going to the phone I didn't have in my possession. So it was a big mess. Okay, nevertheless, that's the short version. But I ended up getting my phone. I couldn't even get into my email on my home computer because, again, with Google, that two-factor, it kept going to the old phone. Even after I got my new phone, I still couldn't get into my Apple ID. Just to say, it was a big mess, okay? A big mess. But I have my new phone now. So, and I put all my apps back in. I had to log in, do all of these things all over again. So time consuming, nevertheless, but I got it done. Okay, so now I'm back. So my biggest and sincere apologies for my absence. Okay, I do apologize. Now, today's quote: while overeating would be seen by some as indulgence of self, it is a fact, a profound rejection of self. It is a moment of self-betrayal and self-punishment, and anything but a commitment to one's own well-being. That's by Marianne Williamson. Okay, I love that quote. And actually, I love her. She is the one that made that quote from that movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but on failure. And that's one of my favorite quotes. And of course, I didn't pull that up because just didn't. Okay, but she did that other famous quote that I love. Just look her up, Marianne Williamson. She's I believe she's a writer. But anyway, so that is today's topic. Okay, battling the food demon, right? How can we get rid of that food demon of gluttony and overeating? How many times do you see that on TikTok where there are people just indulging in overeating? And it's so glamorized. Yes, the food looks delicious and wonderful, but they're overeating. So they're overeating for whatever reason, for views. You know, that's what they do. That's what their channel is all about. Just eating and eating and eating and eating and eating, right? But there are some repercussions to that. Okay, so I want to get into that. So why do people overeat? Why do we overeat, right? Okay. Now, I'd be lying to tell you if I haven't overeaten, right? How many times we do that on Thanksgiving, right? We may overindulge. Sometimes we do that, right? I know I have done it. Okay. But when it becomes a habit of overeating, where it's something you're doing very frequently, then it's something where you really need to do some self-reflection. You really need to do some self-reflection. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. Why do we overeat, right? And there's various reasons why people overeat, okay? One can stem from depression, right? One can stem from depression and possibly not being able to cope with things in life, right? And so especially around this time, as we getting closer to the holiday season, people become more stressed, more depressed, and down during these times in the fall and winter months, right? So depression is one thing, right? Another could stem from child trauma, some type of trauma. It could be childhood trauma. It could be some type of trauma that they never really coped with and dealt with, and they're battling their addiction with the food demon, right? And I call it a food demon because that's what it is, okay? Because it's an addiction. There are several types of addiction, right? You've heard of food addiction, sex addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, right? There's different addictions that people have, all right? But when we talk about food addiction, we're talking about dealing with that self, like as Marianne Williamson said, that betrayal of self and rejecting yourself and self-punishment, right? Self-punishment while you are overeating. You are overeating because there is something that you are having a hard time coping with. So rather than resort to either alcohol, drugs, sex, or whatever, we do that. You can do the emotional eating, right? We can tend to do that, right? Emotional eating. Maybe you had a breakup, right? With a boyfriend or husband, spouse, whatever, lover, whatever. You've had a breakup, a bad breakup. And now you're turning to food as a source of comfort, right? So food can be a source of comfort. And you can say, well, it doesn't reject me. It doesn't turn me away. It's always there when I need it, right? And it makes me feel good. These are why we turn to these different pleasures, right? And that main particular one, which is food, the comfort food, emotional eating. Emotional eating. Remember, it stems from how we feel about ourselves, or the reflection of what we feel and how we feel about ourselves, and due to some type of experience or how we feel we are not able to cope in the present moment. We're not able to cope in the present moment. So we resort to food for comfort. We resort to food. So how can we battle that? How can we battle that food demon, right? How can we battle it? First thing we need to do is recognize that we have a food addiction, right? You have to first recognize that there's a food addiction, right? And I'm saying we collectively, so there is no judgment here, right? There's no judgment. So how can you recognize when you have a food addiction or you're dealing with a food demon? Notice when you're overeating, right? And how do you notice that? You're not even hungry. First of all, you're not even hungry, right? But you resort to food. And sometimes, they say, have you ever heard of the saying, idle's time is the devil's time? Or why? Oh, why do they say that? Where does that come from? Idle time is the devil's time. So when we have a lot of idle time, right? Now you have these thoughts, right? Thoughts come into your head, right? And when you're bored, then you want to find something to do. And sometimes we do some stuff out of pure boredom. So we'll turn to food, right? Because in the refrigerator and in the cabinet, they're always ready. They're always available at your service. The food we love, right? The food that we could be addicted to, it's always readily available. So how do we get rid of it? How do we conquer the food demon, right? First, as I said, by recognizing that we have the food demon recognizing when we're dealing with gluttony and overeating, emotional eating. Ask yourself, am I hungry? Right? Ask myself, am I hungry? And if at that time you feel like that is the way that you want to go about it, right? So, because you may still ask yourself, well, why am I going to eat this, right? Why am I going to eat this? I'm not even hungry. But yet the comfort is giving you more pleasure than the not eating it, than the willpower to not eat it. So the comfort, getting the comfort that you desire, the outcome you desire of eating the food in that moment, you're searching for that to give you that comfort in the moment. You will go ahead and eat that food, right? Even when you're not hungry. So when that happens, what do we need to do? We need to start making sure that we take notice of things. And one of the ways is keeping your food journal, right? And reflect on it. Write down the time and what you ate, right? Right. And what led you to eating the food at that time? What led you to that moment of where you felt you needed to eat? Okay. And as for myself, it's 12:11. I haven't eaten yet. I do the 12:7. And sometimes I may eat a little earlier, but so far not yet. I haven't eaten for the day. And I was supposed to drink water, but I got carried away doing things and I forgot to drink water, guys. I forgot to drink water. Okay, so I digress. But going back to what I was saying. So you journal in your book. What thought came to mind when you wanted to resort to eating? Was it boredom? Was it a negative thought? Right? Was it whatever it was? Maybe it was something that you didn't want to face and think about at the time, so you turned to food. So we have to pay attention to that. And as we do that, and the more we begin to notice, then we got to find the willpower to say that, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to choose to do something else. How do we get the willpower? That's the question. How do we get the willpower to do that, to conquer that food demon? Well, what are some of the things I always talk about, right? Prayer, meditation, right? Silence, deep breathing, self-reflection. But more importantly than that, right? Well, I shouldn't say more importantly than that, but just as important is fasting. Fasting. If you're having a hard time, now this may not work for everyone, right? Because you have people who have been dealing with this maybe their whole lives throughout childhood. And I forgot the name of this show. Was My 200-Pound Life or something like that? And it was women. These were women who were overweight. I'm talking over 300 pounds, to over 300 pounds, something like that. And they have issues with their weight, and they would go to this doctor. I forgot the name of the doctor. They would go to this doctor to try to to seek help for losing this weight. And she had a hard time. She really had a hard time. And some of them, they can't walk. Some of them, just a car ride was difficult. They had to stop and take breaks because it was so difficult for her. It was so difficult for her traveling because she had to travel to go see this doctor. I believe he lived in another state. And I was saying, I'm like, wow, she is really was having a hard time, and she was trying. And it's coming back to me now. What it was is she wanted to see if she would be, I believe, a candidate to have the gastric bypass surgery. But in order to have that, there were certain criteria she had to meet. And one of it was weight loss. She still had to lose some weight before she can even have the procedure done. So he coached. He was very nice, but he was very straightforward. He was very straightforward in what he wanted her to do. He said, you need to lose weight. You need to lose X amount of weight by X amount of time. Okay. And he gave her that time to lose the weight. But when she came back, she wasn't able to lose the weight. And he told her, listen, he said, I'm not going to waste time with you, because sometimes as your coach, your mentor, the person who's trying to help you, you have to be willing to help yourself more than anything. The person who's trying to help you, your coach, your doctor, your nurse, your whoever that's trying to help you, you have to be willing to help yourself more than anyone. There's only so much someone else can do for you, but you have to take the step, and you have to step up and say, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And you have to make the effort. And of course, it's going to be hard. Of course, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be difficult. But if you really want change, you have to do what's necessary. You have to do what's required. And so during that second visit, he gave her, I think it was her second or third and final chance. He said, this is it. If you don't lose the weight this time, he said, I'm done. She came back. And at that time, I think her goal was to lose an extra whatever amount of pounds. But she lost some pounds. And I think she was probably a pound or two shy away from the goal. But he saw that she made the effort, and he continued to work with her. But I say all of this to say, you have to recognize, you have to be willing to make the change, right? And whatever it is, I'm talking today specifically about the food demon and the sin of gluttony, right? The sin of gluttony. I'm talking about that specifically. But whatever it is, it's up to you to decide, right? It's making a decision and deciding that this is what you want, and there's no other options. There's no other alternatives but this.
According to GlobeNewsWire.com, an estimated 128,000 health coaches and health educators advise and motivate clients to change bad lifestyle habits and to manage chronic conditions such as diabetes. Consumers, employers, and insurers are each now more seriously focused on improving health and being proactive. Insurance companies, doctors, and patients themselves see the critical need and demand for health coaches, as well as other integrative natural health practitioners. There is no doubt with the use of health coaches being a crucial part of the healthcare team brings added value to the client, patient, and the healthcare system overall. At Health Coach for Women, our mission to get clients to optimal health at the cellular level. We help clients manage their chronic pain, fatigue, insomnia, depression, anxiety, brain fog, diabetes, and gut health with 3 simple protocols. Once you become a client at HC4W, we take a simple test and assessment to determine a plan of action towards wellness. Schedule a call by going to healthcoachforwomen.com.
Okay. There is no plan B. There's only plan A, because plan B will distract you from your plan A. So be clear and focused on what it is that you want. Be clear and focused. And so apply this to anything that you may be dealing with in your life. And so back to what I was saying, I was talking about fasting, right? How can we conquer the food demon, right? And the sin of gluttony. You can start out by doing a fast, right? There's different fasts. You can start out by doing a fast by however you choose, whatever works best for you and your body. Consult with your healthcare professional, medical professional before doing anything as far as fasting, right? So you can do a fast where you'll eat something in the morning, right? A light breakfast, depending on what time of the day. But in between, you have nothing. And just to make it easy, right? In between, you can have water. Now, me, the way how I fast a little differently. I fast early before the sunrise, okay, when it's time to fast before the sunrise. And I have a meal, and that's it before sunset. Okay, so if you know that I would have my dinner before the sun set, right? And so it can be 12 hours. Sometimes it can range for 12 to 16 hours. Okay. And then you'll have a meal. And at that time, you eat a regular meal. And anytime after that, remember, your body is detoxifying during those long periods of not eating. Your body is detoxifying. And even when you sleep, you know this already, right? So you try doing a fast. There's different fasting. The intermittent fast is one example, right? Where you can have a meal a certain time. Maybe you have your breakfast, one meal, and in between, if you can, go without anything at all. But if you have to, have your fluids of water, right? If you have to, have your fluids of water, right? Because if you're just starting out and you're not used to it, it can be very difficult and challenging. So that's why I say that. It can be very difficult and challenging. I can go 12 to 16 hours without even drinking water, right? Yes, I've done that. And if you're aware, you know that I'm Muslim. During Ramadan, that is what we do. So it's easy for me, right? But in the beginning, it wasn't, right? It was hard. And when your throat is dry and parched, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But the Most High, the Creator of all, makes it easy, right? But when you are determined to do something, you make a way, you decide, and you make a decision, and you decide, and you do it. Along with your prayer, along with your meditation, along with your deep breathing, right? And at the same time, why don't you clear out some things, right? Clear out some old things, clear the energy, like the feng, what is it? They call it the feng shui or whatever they call it. You know, maybe try clearing out some things, remove the clutter, remove the clutter, get rid of the old. Sometimes we have to let go of old things, that old energy, old stale air, right? Old things. So remove the clutter, right? Remove the junk food out of your cabinet. Go through your refrigerator. Remove the clutter. And this is a great time, right? Because we're getting close into the new year. And for those who know me personally, you know that I bring in the new year with my house clean, spick and span. Bed is always made, right? Everything is clean because that's how I'm bringing in my new year. Everything is clean. I want stuff a certain way. I want everything neat and clean. Not OCD, right? Not OCD so much. I was a little OCD before, but I've calmed down now that I've gotten a little older. So, but I want things clean because how you bring in the new year, it sets the tone, right? It's like, how you start your day, it sets the tone for the rest of your day, right? And so you wake up in the morning with gratitude. You wake up in the morning being grateful. I'm so happy and grateful that I woke up this morning. Oh my gosh, God has still given me eyes to see the beautiful trees outside my window, right? I'm still able to hear the birds chirping. It's beautiful, guys. It's beautiful if you just take time to notice. Stop living in survival mode and start living in the abundance and peaceful mode and loving mode. Start living in that. Start embracing that. Start embracing the simple things in life. And I say all of this because this is how you can move forward and you can break your addictions. And you can break your addiction if you fast, right? And look at what's troubling you and see what can you do to fix it, right? How can you fix it? Maybe in that area, you may need some help. You may need a little guidance, a little push, right? From either your healthcare professional, from either your clergy, from your support group, whatever it is, right? But you can try fasting, right? And start to pay attention. And that's doing a good for your body because like I said, it's detoxifying your body, Okay. It's detoxifying your body. So you do that. Try fasting. You want to start out doing at least 3 days? Start out by doing it 3 days. If you can't do 3 days, do 1 day. Do 1 day. Push yourself and do 1 day of fasting. Then you know what? Say next week, I'll do 2 days. And the week after that, I'll do 3 days. And the week after that, do 4 days, right? And the week after that, maybe you can push yourself to 5 to 7 days, right? So, during the month of Ramadan, we do 30 days of fasting. Think about that. When you want to fast, think about those who are doing it all over the world for 30 days. Construction workers, teachers, preachers, which we call imam. The imam, he is the person who preaches, right, to the people in the mosque. Think about all these people, and there's no drinking of water. No. For those of you who don't know, it's serious, guys. But during that time, and what it does is to remind you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not pushing my faith on anyone. What I'm saying is there's different types of fasting, and I'm just telling you the fast that I do, right? But there's different types of fasting you can do. And the fasting I do is an intermittent fast because we go without periods without eating as well as drinking, right? But for you just starting out on fasting, try doing the intermittent fast of a light breakfast and then drink some water in between to get yourself kind of acclimated. Try that for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, however far you can push yourself. And then you keep challenging yourself as you go along. Don't quit. Don't quit. If you want to battle the food demon, right? And we got to stop glamorizing obesity. Stop glamorizing gluttony, right? Stop glamorizing those things that the Creator said is sinful, right? The Creator also mentioned about overindulging in alcohol. All of these things, guys. What I realized in the common Western world, right? The things that we look at as acceptable and normal, if you are someone who is a believer of faith, such as Christians and Muslims, and even Judaism people. And I don't want to talk about religion because I'm not pushing religion onto anyone. I'm just telling you that God's law is one way and the Western world's law is another. So I say all that to say this. Stay on the path, right? The path of doing the right thing for yourself, right? Which is not to glamorize overeating, right? That's a short and simple way. Not glamorizing overeating. Yeah, you guys may find it to be fun and it's funny and then the food looks so good and it's tempting, but that's not what you want for yourself, for your health and well-being. All right? And so like Marianne Williamson said, she says, it is a moment of self-betrayal. Can I repeat that? Do y'all want me to repeat that? It is a moment of self-betrayal and self-punishment and anything but a commitment to one's own well-being. So it's a rejection of self. So when you overindulge in eating, you are rejecting yourself. You're not loving yourself in that moment. Remember that. And so if it's something that triggers you, if it's something that makes you want to run to eat, try your best to find something else to do, right? Go to your journal, pick up your journal, start writing, drink some water, right? Drink some water. Have some fruit if you're going to have anything. Have some fruit. Do not overindulge. Do not overindulge. Okay. And the enemy loves that, right? The enemy loves when he can whisper in your ear and tell you, go ahead and have that. Go ahead and have that extra bite of whatever. Go ahead and have another plate. Go ahead and the enemy is real. Okay. But you have to have the willpower. You have to have the willpower and the strength, the determination to not do it. Okay? To not do it. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I don't know if I went over or not, but I really wanted to talk about that because there are people dealing with different demons, right? But I wanted to talk specifically on the food demon, right? And how the enemy moves. And what happens when we do that, when we overeat? Think about it, guys. What is the main thing that's impacted when we do that? It's not a hard answer. Health, right? Weight increase, high blood pressure, all the foods that contain a lot of high sodium, right? Prone to diabetes, pre-diabetic, what else? All these other things. It's a whole host of diseases, inflammation, weakened immune system, all of these things when we indulge in gluttony, when we indulge in overeating. You want to love yourself. You want to truly not betray yourself, but more honor yourself rather than betray yourself. And honor yourself by rejecting the food, by rejecting the temptation. And when you're at work, I know it's even more difficult, right? Everybody want to sit, they bring in food, they sit and, they want to eat. It's okay to eat. No one's saying don't eat. The thing is, don't overeat. Don't overeat. It's just that simple. Yes, I know it's easier said than done, but we've got to have the willpower. We've got to take control of our lives. Do you want your doctor to just prescribe you some medicine for the rest of your life? You have to take this medicine. Now your thyroid is out of whack. So you have to take this thyroid medicine, levothyroxine, for the rest of your life. Do you want to take these water pills? Do you want to take these blood pressure pills for the rest of your life? Because we know today, mostly with Big Pharma, they treat symptoms, right? Rather than prevent disease. See, if we can focus on preventing disease, then maybe that will help, right? Because if you're into yourself, the thing is, you got to start loving yourself, because if you're not loving yourself, you're not thinking about any of that. You're not thinking about your health. Why aren't you loving yourself? Go deeper. Don't be afraid to go deeper. Okay? No one is around you. No one can see you or hear you, right? Go deeper with yourself. And if that means seeking some type of professional help with someone, or like I said, whoever it is that you turn to seek help, don't hold things in. Don't hold things in. Sometimes so many people go walking around holding things in, and all that does is just fester on the inside. It's just festering. And what happens with an abscess when it's full of all the pus and gooey stuff? Ugh, it bursts, right? And when it comes out, it's pretty gross. So let's not do that. Let's not do that, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you will be more mindful and when it comes to food, right? And food is the healing. Food is how we can heal ourselves through food. But the types of food and how much of the food that we eat and what we eat matters. Remember, what you eat matters. Okay? What you eat matters. And I understand that some people are not able to always get the organic produce, and when some things are out of season, it's okay. You can get frozen vegetables, frozen fruits and vegetables. You can make your smoothies, right? I talked to you about all the things that's healthy and good for you. Sea moss smoothies, sea moss, right? Vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, all these things that is good for you, right? Making sure that you get the proper nutrients, making sure that you stay on top of that. Fresh air, right? Enjoying the outdoors, getting in touch with nature, connecting, grounding. All of these things can help you. And this is what I did on my journey. These are some of the things that I've done on my journey, right? And sometimes we can fall off, and it's okay to fall off. I've fallen off before, but the thing is to get back up and keep on going. Get back up and keep on going. No one is judging you, not here. No one is judging you, but it's just to push you into your best, into being your best, becoming your best, doing your best, okay? Saying yes to self, right? And no to the things that do not serve you. When you can come to that place, then you can have, oh my gosh, then you can have that ultimate peace with yourself, that true radiance, that true love and self-love that you can have for yourself. It's possible if you can see it. It's possible. It's there. It's within your reach. You just have to see it and believe it and know that it's there. And you're not alone. You're never alone. Remember, you're never alone. The Most High, the Creator of all, is always with us, even though we cannot see Him, right? You're never alone. That note, I'm going to end it. Until next time. Bye for now.
If you are struggling with health issues like chronic pain, being held back by past traumas, or feeling overwhelmed and hopeless, please know there is hope. There is help. Transcendence, a woman's guide to healing and self-love for better health, happiness, and abundance, is a blueprint to help you get your life back and reclaim your health. Within its pages, you'll learn how to elevate your existence by shifting your mindset toward the positive, focusing your energy on what's really important, using gratitude to feel deep appreciation, changing your gene expression through epigenetics, building resilience, and living in a state of flow, feeling love overflow within. Go beyond an ordinary life. Transcend. Buy it now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.